Welcome back to part 3 and my personal favorite of the Chernobyl series. In the third and final part, we will be exploring many structures inside the entirely abandoned city of Pripyat, as well as going up close to a secret Soviet spy radar that dates back to the Cold War. All 50,000 inhabitants of Pripyat, including 12,000 children, were evacuated within 48 hours of the accident. This city is uninhabitable for the next 20,000 years. We started off by driving through the checkpoint on the outside part of Pripyat. Today, there are only 3 functioning parts of Pripyat: the checkpoint, a laundry station to wash the guards' clothes who work at the checkpoint, and a water pump to provide the water for the laundry. We drove towards what at one point was the city center, but now completely located in the forest. Here, we got to walk around and explore the center, a supermarket, as well as the infamous amusement park in which you've probably seen if you've watched the Chernobyl documentary before. This is absolutely unbelievably wild. This is like the coolest thing I've ever seen. It's cool in an eerie way, you know. Of course, all these people lost their lives. The fact that nature has completely taken over in just 30 years. Can't imagine what the world is going to look like after humans go extinct. I mean, you can only imagine. It's way more overgrown than I expected it. It's interesting because most abandoned places you go now are somewhat destroyed by people after the fact and graffitied and everything, but this is like one of the few places you can go that's completely untouched. It's incredible. The next part of the tour, we got to explore a sports complex and a school. The pool and sports complex is one of the cleanest places in Pripyat today, and was used until 1998 by military personnel who were called to duty for the Chernobyl disaster cleanup. The gas masks here were meant for a Cold War fallout. Little did these people know they'd be facing a different kind of nuclear fallout. Moving on from the sports complex, the last part of the Pripyat adventure was spent inside a 9-story Soviet block building with free reign to explore any apartments we wanted. So of course we went all the way to the top and found a ladder to the rooftop, which we were close to going on, but didn't necessarily trust the strength of the roof that's been sitting untouched for the past 30 years. We definitely got some great views out of it regardless. The city was filled with only Soviet bloc buildings because all the inhabitants were required to reside in public housing. Due to it being part of the Soviet Union at the time, evidence of communism and propaganda was strong.
Holy crap.
In the last part of the day, we drove deep into the woods to a part of the exclusion zone far more secluded and less well known than the infamous Ferris wheel and bumper cars. We were headed to a former top-secret Soviet military base to see a 500-meter-long by 150-meter-tall array of cables, cylindrical cages, and strange repetitive metal shapes. The Duga 3 radar was not a sci-fi movie prop, but rather used from 1976 to 1989 at the tail end of the Cold War to detect ballistic missiles. Believe it or not, the radar was pointed towards USA. It was such a top-secret location that it was marked as a summer camp for children on maps. During its years of operation, the radar caused a repetitive tapping noise to amateur shortwave radio users all over the world, nicknamed the Russian woodpecker. It was suspected early on that the signal was coming from a Soviet radar. However, conspiracies arose around the signal, such as it being Soviet mind control or weather control, but those were later debunked. TVs and radios were later redesigned to combat and jam the woodpecker noise because it was such a nuisance. It was taken out of use in 1989 as the technology was becoming obsolete and the Cold War was coming to a close. To this day, nobody knows for sure why they officially stopped using Duga radar. Well, that's a wrap. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the Chernobyl series. It was quite fun to make, and the experience overall was absolutely insane. Going to Chernobyl is something I'll truly never forget. I've wanted to go to Chernobyl since I was like 14 years old, so it's been in the works for a while. It was totally wild. Thank you again for watching. There's a lot more to come from this channel. I'm just getting started. But until then, I'll see you in the next video.